Hello, welcome to Podcast versus Player, episode 239. I'm one of your hosts, Carl, and as always, I'm joined by a man who found stir fry all over his bed this morning. He must have been sleepwalking again.
Fuck's sake.
Danny Bloody Dan! There is he. There he is.
Greetings. Hello.
How the diddly devil are you?
I'm all right, mate. I've had most of the week off, so I've been it's my first day. It's a Thursday, and I've been back in work today, and then I'm in tomorrow, and then I've got another 2 days off. So I'd like to say that I'm very nice and relaxed and chilled out from having all that time off. But as you're fully aware, Callum, I spent Friday to Monday just absolutely bouncing around the place, about multiple people's places, trying to sort a bunch of shit out. So I was kind of exhausted, and then I took Tuesday off, and then I spent all of yesterday, pretty much all of yesterday, just redoing and cleaning everything in my room. It's just right, it's just been a bunch of shit that I don't need. Everything's sorted, everything's in its place. I took 6 bags of clothes downstairs because I'm just pretty sure these haven't fit me since I was 15. And I'm far too fat for all these now.
Why have you still got clothes from when you were 15?
I'm really not in a hoarding sense, but I'm just terrible at throwing stuff out because unless you know what I'm like, unless something breaks or it doesn't work anymore or it doesn't fit anymore. Yeah. I've got no reason to get rid of it. Honestly, the amount of fucking suits that I threw out from that wardrobe. About 8 pairs of trousers that I don't think I've worn for about 10 years. I'm not joking. Wow. I'd forgotten half the shit that was in there. So I feel, if anything, it's been a productive few days off, but certainly not relaxing. Absolutely not.
Oh, we got to meet a horse?
We did. I was with you. We've made potentially, if not definitely, the worst episodes of Retro Shenanigans that we've ever done.
I beg to differ.
I don't remember much of it, Callum. But
some of our best.
I disagree completely, because we didn't actually do much in terms of gameplay. At least, again, not that I can remember. I was very tired. But we did see a horsey who was dressed for solving crimes or something.
Yeah, vigilanteism.
Yeah, and then I was just bouncing around. The weather was really hot as well, which is very draining. But it was,
that's some scorching good weather.
More fun than being at work, but I don't necessarily think that's true.
I think you're more busy than when you're at work.
That's very true. Yeah, it was very enjoyable, I will say. So it was nice to see you and the guys.
Unless
and it was...
Dan's employers listen to this, in which case he works very hard.
I do. I mean, today's been quite good because it felt like I've been in work for about 25 minutes because I was just catching up on a whole bunch of shit. But yeah, not too bad. How about you?
Good, mate. Right? Yeah, I've been got to see you, so that was a nice change to normal weekly schedules and stuff. Had a barbecue after you went. Well, we didn't. We went to a barbecue. And just had a bit of time in the sun, kids and pools and stuff. And then Sunday, played a load of football. So I was absolutely bollocks.
I bet you were, yeah.
And then, then back to it. I was off Monday because it's bank holiday. I'm just still getting used to that. And well, then just been mad busy. It's been fun though. Been enjoyable. And
good.
We have no, cut that bit out because I forgot what I was going to say. 3, 2, 1. But other than that, not a lot, mate. Been nice though. It's been nice to have some sunshine. You can't see because the blind's closed, but it's been nice to have some sunshine for a change.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite at the point of it being unsurvivably brutally hot like it was last year, but we're also in June, mate. Well, just the start of June, so we've got another couple of months before we can get to that point potentially.
Wasn't you saying that it's given out? It's going to be 40 odd soon.
No. I was reading something last week, I think it was, that was basically saying that because in the UK, it the highest ever UK temperature records were broken last year. It's I think that's 40.2, 40.3.
I think it was higher than that, wasn't it?
No, that was across the country. That was the absolute highest that was recorded.
Oh, wow.
Officially, should we say? So potentially, if there's a few degrees or something like that in it, maybe. But it was basically saying that it was obviously climate change and global warming and carbon emissions and things like that are a factor for these sort of things. But it's virtually impossible for it to get that high again. Within in about it was in 3 or 4 years, maybe we could see that again. But it's virtually impossible that it would happen again. Which means to me, if it does,
we'll die.
We're all fucked. Like, because if they're saying that, like the Met Office or whoever is saying that, it's a fluke. It's like it's a one-off, and we haven't had that kind of a spike for years anyway. If we get it consistently, then yeah, we're all pretty much knackered, really. So I'm hoping that we've got a warm one, not a hot one.
I like I said, I'm pretty sure I said it while you were down here, but I like it when it's hot enough in the day that I can just wear a t-shirt, and then it gets to evening time, like, oh, it's a bit brisk. I'm gonna put on a zip-up hoodie, not a proper hoodie, a zip-up one.
Yeah.
Just take away the chill a little bit. That's what
I'm
like.
with you there.
I like that.
I'm okay with that.
Because there's nothing more depressing than looking out the window, typical British weather, and it's just miserable and murky and just like, ugh. And it proper brings you down. But when it's sunny, at least you can be inside with air conditioning or your fans on or whatever and go, I mean, it looks well out there. It's nice and cool in here, though. In my paddling pool full of ice.
Unfortunately, I don't have access to a paddling pool or an air conditioning unit, so whenever it gets that hot, I just have to deal with it, unfortunately. There's not really much I can do about it.
Last year, I made a mistake many years ago when Zoe was pregnant, and that July was absolutely scorching hot, and she was pregnant, and I broke the fan. So I nearly bought one of them Dyson, the bladeless ones.
I don't think they're any good, to be fair.
Well,
like, we got one of them at work, and they just don't seem to kick anything out.
It was a case of, like, I went everywhere. They were sold, like, everywhere was sold out for fans. And then I went into PC World, in Curry's PC World. And the only fan they had was the display one, and it was this Dyson thing. It was like 300 odd quid. I was like, I'll have to fucking do, because I can't go home without one, because she'll fucking murder me. And then I was in the queue waiting to pay, and my brother-in-law rang me, and he was on a job, and he told the bloke, because he's an engineer, and he told the bloke this funny story that I'd done, and then the guy's like, I've got a spare fan if you want to take that back with you. And I was like, fucking yes, and just put the fan down and ran out.
Yeah.
But I bought that. I think I sent you a video of it last year, but I bought that big, huge, massive Black & Decker fan last year. And that'll take your beard off your face, that will. And it was a very worthwhile investment. So we'll get that out this year if it gets too hot. But mostly I'm all right, especially in here. Because of all the trees in the front, we get no sunlight in this room. So it's always nice and cold. As you know, because that's where you sleep.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the sunshine, Dan. But we're not here to talk about the weather.
Are you sure? Because you've been fucking whittling on about it for about 10 minutes.
I mean, I've got more if you want to keep going.
Not really.
We got some video games and stuff to talk about. Namely, PlayStation Expo. We did the live show last week. Where we
got a bit of time to digest it.
Yeah, mull
reflect
on it. It was shit.
It wasn't shit. I'll tell you what I did enjoy the most. It was the format of the show. So they just had the guy come on and just say, we love the gamers, and here's some games and blah blah blah, and then they just did nothing but trailers. And then the end they went, we'll all be back for more years, and hey everyone, PlayStation, woo. I think that's what he said, something like that. Sorry, I keep hitting this. I've got this fucking boom mic arm thing that you've given me. I'm going to keep on smacking it now because it's right in front of my face. But like the layout of it have just been sort of like, there's no fucking interviews. There's no bullshit about anything. There's no one coming on and saying, well, the process behind, show us what it is. I've done it again. Sorry. I'm too Italian. I can't not emote. The way that it's spaced out, I really like that. There wasn't a huge amount for me in that particular expo, I'd say. Not that they're pitching to me necessarily, but like the for me anyway, I don't know if you would agree, but whenever I'm watching these sort of things, especially if it's like it's PlayStation or it's Nintendo or it's Xbox or whatever, it's more than just like, here's just a games, like a list of all the games. It's more than that. It's a sales pitch. It's like, these are all the things that are coming out on PlayStation 5. So again, that may not be their intention. They may just be wanting to say, let's just do a showcase and let's just leave it at that. But to me, I don't own that. So they need to be pitching that to me if they
Yeah.
want my custom, if that makes sense. But if they're not showing God of War, if they're not showing Uncharted or a new Uncharted thing, if they're not showing a new Last of Us, because apparently there's a multiplayer Last of Us game that's coming out, it's been pushed back,
2.
so that's great. And the sort of the standard IPs that you would expect, none of them were there really. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was any of them that. But again, it's on PC, which means it's going to be again in a few more years.
Yeah, no, but they're not going, here's a game that, this is a game, start that again. They're not saying, here's a game you can get for PlayStation and PC. They're going, here's a game you can get at the moment, and for the foreseeable, only PS5.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they mentioned anything about PC on there. Like, it feels like they're just sort of like, I know, we know that these things are going to come out on PC, and there's already quite a few that already are on PC. Yeah. But if we say, this is coming to PS5, then people don't go, oh, well, I'll just wait until it comes out on PC then, so I don't have to buy a PS5. So if you see Spider-Man 2 and go, oh, that's sweet. I don't remember it seeing it. So it might do. Again, my memory might be a bit shot.
No, it definitely doesn't. But
it's like exclusive to whatever.
It's not like, I can't think of a game off the top of my head, so we'll just say Tomb Raider, because that was the second Tomb Raider was exclusive to Xbox. For like the first 6 months.
I thought you meant the original one. I was like, no, Callum, because
no,
1994
the reboot
didn't exist.
The reboot one's the sequel.
Yeah,
Shadow,
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
One of the it's Shadow or Rise. I can never remember which way around they are.
I think you might be right. I think it might be Shadow.
But that was a case of it's exclusive to Xbox for 6 months or whatever. This is until Sony say otherwise. And like the first Spider-Man, me personally, I can't wait years to play it. So if it's a case of getting it for PlayStation 5 or PC, I'm 100% going to get it for PS5 because I'm not waiting upwards of 3 years to play the game.
But this is it, right? I reckon it's because it was obviously many years actually, before Spider-Man did come out on PC.
Oh yeah.
But I bet you anything, when that was released, it was never a case of, okay, well then X amount of years and it's going to be on PC. I think that this is just a new market that they found, and I reckon if they're making decent money from it, those times are going to be halved. I reckon 2 years, 2 years, and it'll be out.
Definitely not 2 years. It'll be longer. I reckon between 2.5 to 4. I know that's quite a big gap, but between 2.5 to 4 years, because that's pretty much the format it's already gone with stuff like Horizon.
But again,
and that.
But that's only because those were the start of this sort of new transition across. But if they're making money from it and they're getting good responses, I think that with a few of them, like Uncharted, I had some issues with. I think people who bought The Last of Us, they've had issues with it. So assuming that they can sort of like iron out any kinks before they release them, and people are loving the fact that they're now on PlayStation, PC, they'd... Like, again, especially, like, how long's the PS5 been out? Like, 3 years now?
They did say 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, just coming up to the 3 years.
Well, give it another 3, maybe 5 years, and you're probably going to be at the end of its life cycle before you get the next one that's going to be out.
I don't know. Just because of the supply issue, I reckon they're going to knock a couple of years off this and the Series X because people haven't had them that long. So it may have been released in, like, whatever... The month and year was, but people couldn't get them for 2 years after that. So,
but I think this is I don't think it's around timing. I think it's purely around popularity, and I think that it's because the PC market's so open at the moment, and so many people, especially like during lockdown, like so many people went and bought them. They'd be stupid not to. I mean, look at so Spider-Man was like what 3 or 4 years before that came out. God of War was about the same.
Nah, Spider-Man was longer because Spider-Man came out on PlayStation 4. God of War. It was the same.
Well, God of War came out on PlayStation 4, yeah.
Yeah, they both. That's what I'm saying. They both did.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But that was. I don't think at the point of that release, it was never a case of in Sony's mind they were like, okay, well, in a few years we'll be doing this.
Nah,
I think it's just because it's become more popular. They've worked out whatever kind of deals they can with Epic or Steam or whoever. I think that those turnaround times will be quicker because obviously, Spider-Man came out. Last of Us came out before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But PC Spider-Man, that came out before The Last of Us.
Yeah, but
So it's not they're not going in order of like,
no,
this is
no.
cool, we'll do this.
But Last of Us was also, you had the remake for PS5, and then they ported that to PC. So the Last of Us is different because it wasn't the PS4 one; it was the PS5 one.
Yeah, but it also tied into the end of the TV show.
Plus that as well. I mean,
But that's what I mean.
It
Like,
was meant to be
they're
out
basing
before,
this.
wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
meant to be out,
exactly.
like,
But they pushed
2
it back,
weeks
and
before
they still didn't get it perfect either. Bless them. But I think it's purely based on the market. I don't think it's anything to do with like timed exclusivity or anything like
No,
that.
I mean,
think they'll play it by ear.
Yeah,
and if they're getting a ton of money off the PC market, why would you delay the inevitable of people going? Because if they go, buy a PlayStation and, or if you don't, potentially you might not be able to play this, or you wait like 4 years and maybe you get it on PC. People are still going to be like, nah, I don't know. Like, if I was going to get a PlayStation, maybe we'd have already had one by now. But if you go, it's going to come out on PlayStation, and then in 2 years, consistently, it's going to be out on PC. People like me, I'll be like, oh, I can wait for that. I don't mind.
Because don't forget, the PC market's also the highest for pirating as well. So that player base for the PlayStation copy, they've all had to buy a game or steal it from someone, but they've had to purchase the game. That player base on PC, how many have actually bought the game?
Well, I think that's why, like, so there's a lot of them that are you can only get on specific platforms, like Epic. Like I say, like there's only like, so you can't just go through third parties like CD keys or whatever. They wouldn't have that game as an option because it's locked to one specific thing.
Nah, but the I forgot what it's called. Like it's not called DeLorean. That's completely different. But it's got a name like that. It's like your DRM. The game's got a special name. This code has. But Last of Us, Spider-Man, and God of War, all of them were cracked on day one. And the money's definitely there, but we have talked about this before, but with the exception of God of War and Spider-Man and Horizon, everything else is a dead franchise. So there probably won't be another Last of Us. There probably won't be. Well, there definitely won't be another Uncharted. All that kind of stuff. It's them.
I disagree. I think it's there might be a while. There won't be a Nathan Drake Uncharted, but will there be his daughter? Will there be a Sully prequel? You better believe it. They're not going to go, wrapped it up perfectly. No need to make any more of these. But if they know that people will buy them, they will fucking make them.
Oh, they know.
Made a shit movie for God's sake.
Yeah, but that wasn't made by Naughty Dog, though, was it?
No, but they bloody put their stamp of approval on it.
Naughty Dog have already, they've said outright that they won't make another Uncharted. That doesn't say there won't be another one, but Naughty Dog won't be the ones making it.
It's irrelevant. Like, the franchise is too popular and too good.
It's not irrelevant, because if it's like... Metal Gear's a perfect example of that. The first one Hideo didn't make was fucking garbage.
Yeah, survival, whatever it is.
If the people that love the franchise, you'll get it sometimes with TV shows and movies and stuff where, like, I know you wasn't a big fan of it, but I thought Banshee was excellent TV show, and it was only 4 seasons, and it ended, and I was gutted. But like the writer said, we could have carried on, but we told the story we wanted to, so why carry on? And that's the same kind of mentality Neil Druckmann had with Uncharted. And he again, it's not word for word, but he's openly said it. That's not to say that Sony won't push forward with it, but me and my team won't be doing it. And that makes me think, is it going to be good? Still could be good, and I'll still buy it if it is. But I just see it as more greed on Sony's part more than anything else, because they go, right, for the last X amount of years, all the PlayStation fans have bought the Uncharted games, and they've done exceedingly well. Let's sell them again to the people that didn't play them before, but we're going to release them in the wrong order for some reason. So this doesn't make a lot of sense with some of them when they could just go, like they've done with The Last of Us. You don't get the PS3 version, you get the PS5 version. That's the better way of doing it, personally. If you're going to re-release it, do it properly. Make it like you got Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy together, but that was 2 separate games on the PS4, even though it's just DLC. Good DLC though. Have you played that yet?
Yeah, I didn't get super far into it, but
I liked it.
an hour or so.
I thought it was okay. But that's a good demonstration of what's an Uncharted game without Nathan. It's not a great one.
I don't know, because I mean, like, I was like, just the combat system and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem. I don't know. It just doesn't seem tight enough. There's just a lot of.
Wait till you go back and play the first three.
I don't know. Like, it just, I wasn't. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best game I've ever played.
No, definitely. None of them are. They're just all really good games, but they're also good for the time. So, I can't remember the last time I went back and played the first Uncharted, but it ain't aged well at all. You know what has aged well, though? Uncharted Golden Abyss, which was a PS Vita title.
No.
That's still good. That's still a good-looking game. I liked it. It was very good. But, I don't know. They'll definitely come out, like, Spider-Man 2 will definitely 100% come out on PC. 100%. But if I took anything away from the showcase, it was this is the only big game we've got coming out.
Kind of, and it's not a surprise, really, is it?
I mean, all that again. We discussed before. Obviously, we got the Xbox show coming up, and the difference with the PlayStation one as well. This isn't the only one they'll have this year because they have their state of play, like back end of November, start of December. So they are going to be saving some stuff for that. But again, just show us a fucking Wolverine or something. Like, we know God of War
surprised there wasn't even a
Ragnarok's going to be out on
teaser
PC.
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't anything to do with Wolverine at all. Maybe it is just too early for that. Maybe they just don't have anything
They've got to
to
have
show.
something. Even if it's like, because we haven't seen him yet. All we saw in his arm.
Yeah.
Show us the fucking model. You've clearly got it, Dan.
I don't know, because it just there was Final Fantasy, there was a bunch of like JRPGs, some sort of indie-ish kind of games. The one that's made by the guys who made Journey, that looks pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like the Sword in the Sand or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Assuming that's even the same one I'm thinking of.
No, it definitely is. Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't really anything that sort of like Metal Gear is great. Like to get a remaster of the first 3 Metal Gears, sure, bring it on.
When though?
End of the year.
Did they say that?
Not in that trailer. No, I was reading an article saying that because this is the thing I don't understand. I don't know if Snake Eater is supposed to be something separate, or if it's not a complete utter remake of 1 and 2. But it said there was something called the Master Collection that was coming out at the end of the year. So it could just be it's Metal Gear Solid and it looks like Metal Gear Solid, but it's upscaled and it will work on modern consoles or whatever. Or if it's a complete remake and it's a ground up remake of Metal Gear Solid and Sons of Liberty, presumably, as well as Snake Eater.
What if
But then if that's the case, why would they only show, or why would they only tease Snake Eater?
I mean, assuming that it is a full collection, as the picture showed, because there is a picture of the I don't know if it's the official box art for the game.
Probably not, but sure.
Out of the 3 of them, Snake Eater is the only one, like they did with the trailer, where you wouldn't guess it immediately.
But to be fair, you could still do the same thing. You could just have like a grey corridor that's smoke and bullet holes and blah blah blah, and then it comes out and it's the Shadow Moses complex, and then it just pans up, and then it's Metal Gear Rex. Everyone would have shit their pants in the exact same way, but you'd be like, oh my god, original Metal Gear. Or, it's the cyborg ninja in that sort of room where he's like killed a whole bunch of people or whatever. Like things like that people would recognise. But other than the music, like the Snake Eater theme, I don't. But again, but you could just say that that's any snake from any game.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's just other than like again camo in the water or whatever, sure. But I don't understand why wouldn't they go? It's 1 and 2 and 3 unless 3 is separate and 1 and 2 are HD updates. If you want to think of it like that, rather than an actual full remake.
Already done one of them.
3 is the remake.
They already did a HD update.
Yeah, I think there was like I remember having one for the Xbox, I think, which was
it's on PS3 and 360.
Yeah, 1 and 2 maybe.
I think Peace Walker was included as well. The first time
Potentially, I think
ever.
because I think isn't that with Solidus?
Yeah, but it's the PSP one, and then
yeah, because that's the only time I played that was on the 360. I think I've got it digital, so yeah, it must have been that I got. But then I don't know. Is Snake Eater more beloved than Solid? And
I think it's
Sons
just
of
the
Liberty,
only one
maybe?
that hasn't had anything yet. Because you had obviously Metal Gear Solid 2, and then Twin Snakes on the GameCube was a remake of 1 in the engine of 2. And then you had HD update. Obviously, Peace Walker that come out on PSP and stuff later. And then you had the HD update on PS3 and 360. And then, yeah, with the exception of Guns of the Patriot, Snake Eater is the only one that hasn't had any action.
It could be that, or it could just be people talking absolute fucking bollocks on the internet. So, like, 3 is the only one definitively that we're definitely going to get.
Yeah.
Potentially, we might get 1 and 2. I'm hoping that is the case because I'd love to replay 1. And
what if they've merged
even
the
2?
3?
I really like 2 with
2's
fucking
good.
like Vamp and Fat Man and
they were all good. Let's not beat around the bush
shot.
here, Dan.
Yeah, they're all great. They're all fucking good.
What if they've merged Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 2, and Snake Eater into one big fat game?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they've done.
You start as like Solid Snake, and then you work your way through that. Because like Raiden's not in. He's not in 1, is he? He's only in 2. He's introduced in 2.
Yeah, you find him naked.
Yeah, so then you go through into 2, and then that works its way into 3. I mean, timeline-wise, I don't know if they're sort of like canonically like...
I think there's a good bit of time between Snake Eater and 2.
Yeah.
But again...
But then that means that if you remade all 3 of those games, that would be about a 148 gig total thing. Like,
that's
Snake
still small.
Eater
That's still smaller than a lot of games now. 148 gig, that's smaller than the newest Call of Duty. That's like 151 or something like that.
That's like 2 fucking maps or something. Like, this is 3 games. But to be fair, if you just did like the Shadow Moses complex from 1, and then like the oil rig or whatever it is, like the rig from 2, I suppose it's like they're pretty big-ish, but they're still contained. It's like Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
it's like it's a big-ish map, but it's one specific location. You can't go out of it.
They're long games, but the actual environments themselves, because they're just levels. They're not. It's not an open world, unless they do that and they go, it's all of this, but it's in the same open world map as Phantom Pain.
But you could still do that though, because then you just go, oh, okay, well, I want to go through into the Metal Gear Rex hangar. Well, you can't because you need a key card, or it's sealed and you can't get in.
Yeah.
So you've still got to do the missions in the same way, and you can progress, but you can still wander around and collect shit. Like, I think that there's potential to build on it a little bit, but keeping it still very much faithful to what it looked like, to what it was. Yeah, and just make it control shit hot, because that's one thing I've never had any issues with. Like, time specific, they've always handled very well.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing Phantom Pain the other day, and I still can't get over how sort of like nuanced all the little motions of like getting down on the ground and like getting back up again and stuff like that.
Labour of love. This is
yeah,
what
it
I
really
mean.
is.
Like,
yeah,
you can tell the difference with when Hideo Kojima was involved with the series to the second that he left. You can tell instantly, and that shouldn't have been the case. Like, I'm not saying Konami need to make the game better. But it was all in place already. All they had to do was just tack a couple of things onto Phantom Pain. And they couldn't even fucking do that properly.
Yeah, it does drop off really weirdly.
Yeah. But that's what I mean with stuff like Uncharted and stuff, where you've got this team that they've, not to make it sound like a baby, but they've grown they've grown the franchise, they've nurtured it, and then they've left it. Are the people that pick it up going to have the same amount of love for it? Hopefully, if that's the case. But then that also leads on to Snake Eater as well. Obviously, Hideo Kojima's not going to be involved in it, so there's every.
But it doesn't really matter if you copy paste in from whatever the original.
That's what I mean. All they have to do is take that game and make it look and control good. That's all they have to do. They don't need to add or remove anything. Just make it the same. Because with a lot of stuff, that's how we saw it when we first played it.
Yeah.
Like, it was visually fucking phenomenal at the time. And then all we need to do is just capture that moment again, and I'll be happy. I'll love that. But speaking of, where do you rate Phantom Pain on the Metal Gear scale?
I don't know, because I think the world is better. Like the Phantom Pain map, like, you know, having your like companions and things like that.
Yeah.
So you had like, you know, D Dog or the D Walker or the horse, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like I thought that was kind of cool. Like the weapons, like in terms of what you can get and mod and all that kind of stuff. All of that's great. Love that. Or like the research stuff. The base, like capturing shit to go back to your base. I'd like there to be more involvement with the base, like Fallout style to a degree, where it's just sort of like, oh my god, the base is under attack, you better get back here, quick shot, and you got to like fight off waves of bad guys using all your shit that you like. I mean, I'd collect soldiers like S plus ranked soldiers and S plus ranked soldiers. I'd just be looking for them in the open world.
Did they not try that with the multiplayer bit though?
I did play it for I think I tried it with Rick. I think
I never tried it, to be honest.
I honestly I can't remember how far we got with it or what we did, but I certainly don't remember going back to it, so I don't think it was very good. It seems like it's more of a personal kind of intimate kind of experience.
Metal Gear's
anyway. It
not a
doesn't feel
multiplayer
like
game.
it's. Yeah, I agree. But like all of that sort of stuff was like a great addition.
Yeah.
The story's as stupid as ever. To be fair, it doesn't really.
But in a good way though, because it's not. It's stupid, but it's not silly. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like it's Snake working for himself rather than, or big boss, should I say? Sorry, like working for himself rather than like, you know, it's someone on an intercom sort of like blip 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 blip. Oh, you better go and do that mission and get get that person killed. Like, it feels more open worldish and like it is like probably mercenary-esque rather than being you're a spy or a super soldier sent in to do a mission or whatever,
and then
realistic. It all goes tits up. Yeah, like being in the tanks and stuff like that's kind of cool.
Bear in mind, in 4 you had them stupid ghost things coming out of the paintings. So,
but that's what I mean. It's like there's no, at least there's like those weird sort of like cyber women or whatever, like in the cyber suits, and then like Quiet is like an unreal sniper, and there's like there's a bunch of stuff like that's going on. I don't think the bosses are quite as wacky as some of the other ones, maybe, but I don't remember as being into the overall story of it. Like with 1 and 2 and Snake Eater to a degree, I suppose. Like I think the story of 4 is probably my favourite because it just seemed to be more. It kind of made more sense to me. Again, that's probably after playing it about 4 times before it sort of clicks in your head and you go, oh, I understand who Drebin is.
And even then, after you'll be talking about it with someone and you go, oh no, that's not what I got at all.
But they just start talking about like the war economy and stuff, and it's like, oh god, just shut up and sell me a machine gun, for goodness sake.
But I think 4's. I think 4 is my favourite.
I might be with you there.
I
remember because I had the PlayStation 3 bought for me, and it came with, or they bought it with, Sons of the Patriots, Guns of the Patriots, is it? Yeah. And I remember just being like, oh, I can't believe it. PlayStation and the new Metal Gear, unbelievable. And I remember playing it and just being like, this is incredible. Like, it is one of the games that, like, you know, like, I think it's like Outhaven, something like that. Like the big submarine weird ship or whatever that shows up. Because I played that game so many times, I knew exactly where every single person was and where everyone was hidden. Because, like, they're like weird, like, teleporting soldiers, like in white stormtrooper outfits or something. It's vague, but I remember it. And I could bet you anything, if I was to play Guns of the Patriots again, it would come back to me like that. I'd be like, oh, I remember everything that's going on here. Like there was, but again, it was like the detail of like, he was an old man, you know. If you crouch down too long, his fucking back would start hurting. You had to put a pressure thing, like a DP, whatever sort of like thing, just to stop your back from hurting, so you don't go. And alert someone on the other side of the fucking wall. Incredible.
Even that though even though that's realistic, it's silly. Because it's been put in a game,
it's
like no other game.
Supposedly like a fantasy kind of like, you know, it's this fantastical version of a thing that you could do and be a cool guy. Like how many other sort of like super agents or whatever got backache?
Exactly. I mean,
or if you hide in a bin, they can smell you.
There was a thing for the Last of Us show, and Pedro Pascal was called out in an interview for not crouching enough during the show because of how frequent Joel was crouching in games.
Yeah.
And Pedro was talking, like, he's basically saying, like, I'm old, I can't crouch for that long. But there's a fitness guy that basically did I don't know if he drew it or someone had done it for him, but it was a mock-up of what Joel's calves would be like if he was crouched for as long as he was, like the up and down, and he'd have massive fucking legs. Like,
Yeah, you could kick through a car with it.
yeah, but in a game you can get away with it because it's just a game mechanic. You crouch for as long as you want to crouch. You're controlling it. But the fact that they put it in Metal Gear that sometimes it's a bad thing to do it because once you've
been in the cold too long,
yeah,
you start to sneeze.
well, even
Like it's
cigarettes, like you can smoke, but it takes away your health.
Yeah.
And that's real life as well. That is
correct. Yeah.
But it's just all these silly things that add to it that just make it's just an interesting world in general. That, like, even without all like the fantastical elements of it, just the labor of love that's gone into making it. And
yeah,
I do think we wouldn't if Hideo Kojima just had a film studio. I don't think we'd ever have any games, and he'd just make really bonkers fucking movies. But
yeah,
he's such a. I do think he dropped the ball a bit with Death Stranding. It doesn't.
I'll be honest. I played like an hour of that. I haven't gone back to it.
It's a good game.
I need to, and unfortunately, there's a lot of things like when I was just like, I need some. When I've got some time off, I need to cover off some of the old games that I haven't got around to. That being one of them. And as I mentioned, I've had 3 days off this week.
You've
do
been
you know what I did?
Cleaning.
No, I was cleaning yesterday, but I still sort of like, in the evening and probably in the morning, I had some time for gaming. I've been playing Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Excellent choice, sir.
About 25 hours I put in this week.
Fucking hell.
I'm not joking. Because it's an incredible game. But I should be like, probably should clear some of the back catalogue. Because I know what it's like. I'm just like, I need a few days off and I can kind of go back through some of the older ones. What I actually need, Callum, is about 12 years off, because then that means that I can complete Knights of the Old Republic, play through GoldenEye, like do Banjo-Kazooie, like a bunch of shit that I absolutely don't need to. And then eventually, when I'm just sort of like, shit, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Then start
Before I
playing.
get to Death Stranding, I will have bought another game.
Yeah. This is where you need to put your limiter on. You need to go, no,
Well,
I can't buy a new
said that.
game until I've finished X games.
I ain't got that kind of willpower. Are you kidding me? But I said to you last week, I was just like, there's a new game out, and I'm trying to be a bit more fiscally responsible. I'm not going to be quite so frivolous. What was that game, Callum?
Jedi?
No, I bought
just
that.
can't remember.
That was, to be fair, that is another one. I was just like,
That's also
come
one
out
that
Game Pass.
On this very podcast, you were like, I'll wait till it comes on Game Pass. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get it day one. And then I didn't. And then like later that day, I got a picture going, look how fucking hours I put into Jedi Survivor. Thought you wasn't going to buy it. Nah.
It's way better than the first one. I fucking love it.
What came out?
Star Trek.
Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, yeah, we were
Star
talking
Trek
about
Resurgence.
it, yeah.
Yeah, I bought that on Tuesday. Because it had only just come out at that point.
That day.
But I was just, I can't remember, I wasn't even like watching Star Trek or something. I was just like, I've got to get it. I just saw it on Epic and I was like, fine. Like there was no reason for me to do it, and then I did. But not too bad. I'd say like Star Trek games
You're not
as
selling
a
it,
whole.
Dan.
I mean, but other than sort of like Armada, I loved, and Armada 2, mainly because they're like RTS ones. And it's just spaceships flying around.
They don't count.
Elite Force and Elite Force 2, they're pretty great, but again, they're first-person shooters. But I tell you what, the biggest sort of like moment for me was I literally just loaded it up, main menu, settings. It's a PC game. Always the first thing you do.
Yeah.
Settings, change the screen resolution to my screen. The maximum is 1080 by 960.
Great start.
In this day and age, it's not supported widescreen or like an ultra wide. It would shit its fucking britches. I'm assuming, or hoping, should I say, that at some point they'll go, oh shit, well, we didn't realise how many people would need a bigger screen than just a 1080 monitor. But to be fair, it's not as if there's like a huge amounts of shit going on that you need it. So far, I haven't noticed it being a problem.
Who's made it?
So, sorry?
Who made it?
It's they're called like Data Lab or something like that.
There's going to be no update.
It seems like it's like a company. It seems like it's very small.
Yeah.
Like in terms of size, this doesn't seem like a grand project, but it's basically the best way to sort of explain it is that it's quite an interesting story. I'll give it that. It's like if you think like maybe like if there was like a 2 or 3 episode arc of Star Trek, it kind of feels like that. It's just sort of like there's interesting things happen. There's choices that you make. So there's like it's that kind of telltale thing interspersed with mini games. So it's like you're flying a shuttle, you're doing a bit of tricordery stuff, like so there's a lot of story and talking and dialogue that sort of intersperse the mini games.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly
Good.
It's not the Mass Effect Star Trek game. It's not like the oh my god, this is this huge expansive whatever and you can go off and do diplomacy or trade missions or whatever you want, which, you know, is what Star Trek Online could have been, but it's absolutely not.
On-screen icons look as bad as the pictures did.
Not really.
No.
But again, I think it's probably because it's everything's
720.
made for a 1080 screen and then it's been blown up, so obviously it doesn't look particularly great. But like the facial capture and the lip sync and all that stuff looks really kind of great. Like the acting's quite good, and again, the story is itself quite interesting. There's one section where there's just like there's 2 races arguing about ownership of a mine, and like the prompt is like listen and interpret their arguments or something like that. So rather than just being like, oh my god, run to this thing and get this key card or go here and scan a button or whatever, it's like no, there's quite a serious kind of like mining dispute, and you need to pay attention because that like you're going to be a part of that decision to some degree, presumably. So there is replayability in the sense that I'll go back and choose the other things.
There's a much of the stuff you've done up to now. Then has there been much things that will affect the story?
I think it's mainly just sort of like. I think it's probably that, yeah. So it's like it's gaining people's trust, making sort of like siding with the right people or like siding with certain people to make certain decisions. But I don't think it's like, oh well, if you'd done that guy's plan, the shit would have exploded. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that kind of thing. But it's more sort of like it's like that telltale sort of like, this person is always going to be around.
Yeah,
but whether they hate you or not or distrust you or whatever, it feels like it's that, but like a light version of that. So it's not like you could send them off to do a mission and they could get killed. I don't think there's any. Yeah. It feels quite safe, but they're also not charging £45 for it, so can't argue with that.
That was always the thing with the Telltale games. It's like your choices matter. Do they? Because I've played through most of the Walking Dead ones a couple of times. The Batman one's still my favourite. I know you still.
I haven't played that. No,
highly
I'm
recommend
hoping that they
it.
come to Game Pass because I've played and completed the first 2 seasons. I was on the final chapter. I still am actually. I need to finish that another one. But like the Michonne one, the Walking Dead, But then the Michonne one dropped as well, and then that was very quickly taken off, which makes me think that they put that on and they shouldn't have done. Because it popped up, I installed it, and then went to try and play it, and it wouldn't let me. And then it was I think it was either the same day or the day after, it was gone completely. And I'm pretty sure if I check now, I'm pretty sure it's not back on there. Because I've like I say, as they've been dropping, I've been installing them all and playing through them.
But then real good though.
But yeah, that's the thing though. Like they haven't added Wolf Among Us, they haven't added Batman. So I'm hoping that they get around to just because that's the thing. I thought it was just like gradually they just add one, and they can work their way through it until like the second Wolf Among Us comes out. I'd suggest that you go because, like, obviously with it being all through Game Pass as well, it's keeping a track of your saves and like the choices that you've made so far. So it carries on, and then like characters reappear and that kind of stuff. So it does feel very like a TV show that you have a certain amount of control over. Like it's a really well put together story. And I really like it. I don't know why I haven't finished it because, like, again, the final chapter's on.
You should
there.
bought something else.
Get around to it. Probably.
Right. That's enough of that. So if you want to see more, go to podcastfirstplay.com or YouTube and all the other stuff that's going along the bottom of the screen right now. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.